94 WIP breaking news.
Another hire.
Okay.
Eagles are hiring former Buccaneers OC Josh Grizzard as their pass game coordinator, per sources.
All right, so
looks like Patullo out, maybe.
Ooh, all right. So
he got to go.
All right, we have so there's the staff is coming together here as Kyle gives us even more breaking news. Now, Grizzard was I'm not sure if it was Grizzard or Grizzard. I never knew, but I know he was one of the finalists, right? The Eagles yesterday, a story came out, or a report came out. They had 4 finalists yesterday afternoon, Hugh, and that name was one of them. But we do know the name they chose. Last night around 5:30, the breaking news hit. And the Eagles had found their offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion, former NFL quarterback, drafted a little over 10 years ago by the St. Louis Rams. And then he went on to a career that was mostly as a backup quarterback. He didn't play much, but man, was he around some really big names as a player in terms of the coaches he was around, and then as a coach under Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. Hugh, he played under Sean McVay. He played under Kevin O'Connell. He played under Kevin Stefanski. He played under Clint Kubiak. He played under some of the best offensive minds in the NFL, coached under Matt LaFleur, 33 years old, and he is here now to run the offense. And Hugh, I'm not surprised it's him, right? We had Elliott on a few days ago. He told us he was probably the favorite. And
shout out to Elliott, by the way.
Good job by Elliott nailing that one. And the Eagles got themselves an OC here. And the more I think about this hire, does it come with some uncertainty? Of course it does. He's 33. He's never called a play. Does it come with some risk? Of course it does. But Hugh, I like this hire. I'm glad the Eagles went down this route for a few reasons. One, they're getting someone that it seems like people across the league think has a chance to be the next big thing. Now, is it going to take him some time to get there? Probably. This feels like a hire for the long term rather than just the short term. Could there be some growing pains? Absolutely. But the more I think about Sean Mannion, who he's been around, who he's coached under, who he's played under, his trajectory, how quickly he's risen up, I like it, and I think the Eagles finally are going to get out from where they've been, which is behind the curve on offense. They have been behind the curve on where offense is going. I feel like the Eagles for the last 4 or 5 years have won with talent and kind of the numbers game on offense because Jalen can run and they could exploit, RPO and numbers game on offense. That might be going away, right? This offense could be aging out a little bit. Jalen's legs might not be the same. They got to win with scheme now, and I think this guy's going to bring the scheme that they have been missing. Hugh Douglas, I am officially declaring myself a Mannion Man. I'm in. I'm in on Sean Mannion. I like the hire, and I'm happy the Eagles got this guy. Hugh, are you a Mannion Man?
I like the fact that they got an offensive coordinator.
Okay.
No, I'm not subscribing to all that. I ain't no Mannion Man. I ain't
Why?
I'm excited.
You should be a Mannion Man.
No. But I am excited about the future. Now, I have a little bit of a trepidation because we all looked at this and we had all in our mind what we wanted. And it was a Vic Fangio, but on the offensive side of the ball. Somebody who's a little grizzled vet who speaks his mind and is going to challenge this team. I don't know if Coach Mannion is going to do that, but I think that he has the capability to. I think when you get this job and you decide to come to Philadelphia, with everything that has been said, you have to know what the expectations are. And by this being your first job, I like the fact that I feel like he's not going to pull any punches, but I got to see it. I have to see it.
You seem skeptical of our guy Sean Mannion.
I mean, I'm excited
All
for
right.
I'm excited for what could be, but let's be honest, wasn't their first choice.
Well, I think that's obviously fair to say. I mean,
that wasn't their first choice.
This thing started with McDaniel or Dable, and then we got to Sean Mannion.
And I'm happy that they finally put this to rest, but we were 16 days in of not having an offensive coordinator, to me, with one of the hottest teams in the NFL, in my humble opinion. I'm still bullish. Yeah, I'm still bullish on that. You're talking about at the time, well, still defending Super Bowl champion, and the offense, even though they were not what we wanted them to be, they still won 11 games last year.
Well, because of the defense.
Well, I'm not doing the semantics thing. I'm just saying it's a fact. They won 11 games.
Sure.
So now you're coming in here. You have to understand what the expectations are. This is a Super Bowl caliber team.
Well, okay. I mean, they are, and they probably will have that anticipation going into the season. But again, I don't know what the roster is going to look like when free agency arrives and the trades and the draft. I don't know where this is going to look, what it's going to look like in September. when I view the Sean Mannion hire, Hugh, to me it's not just for 2026; it's for the future too. When you hire a 33-year-old that's ever called plays, it's
you're gonna allow him to grow.
You would hope, right? This isn't just about this September or this October; it's about the next few years of his trajectory. It feels like the Eagles tried to get out ahead of someone that a year or two from now is going to be a hot name. They got him in here early, and I view it as a guy that's coming in here to freshen up this offense. It has been stale. Again, how have the Eagles scored points last few years? They've scored them on talent, not scheme. I mean, has anyone been wowed by the Eagles' scheme?
No.
I mean, it's simple. It's nothing like, wow, look, they got that guy wide open. They do it on their talent. That talent might not be the same as years go on. So I think they're going to do it on scheme now. I like the hire. I like that he's a football lifer. His dad was a coach, and the idea that this guy got in the league and kind of knew right away that he wasn't going to be a star player and kind of started preparing to be a coach, I like that as well. 215-592-9494. I wish you were a Mannion Man with us.
No, I mean, I'm excited for him. I'm excited
but you're not
for
you're not
future.
Waking up a Mannion Man today.
But no, I'm not doing that. I mean, if we ever get a chance to meet him, I heard he's a tall dude.
6'6".
Gonna tell him to come on home.
Yeah.
Gonna come on home. Let that hairline go.
So you're skeptical and calling out his baldness.
Well, anytime.
Use the media environment that,
I know,
that he
I
was
know.
saying is scaring all these people away.
No, I'm just saying. They got to come on home, dog.
All right. 215-592-9494. Do you like the hiring of Sean Mannion as the new Eagles offensive coordinator? Let's hear from some people that have been around him and know him well. How about the guy he was working under, Matt LaFleur, talking recently about Sean Mannion's future in the profession?
Unbelievable. Great job. He's been awesome. He's got a bright future in this profession. He attacks it the same way I knew he would when he was a player. Just extreme ownership of everything, puts in the extra time, just goes above and beyond the call of duty, which is exactly what you want from your assistant coaches.
All right, so LaFleur, obviously a big fan. He hired him. He brought him aboard to be his quarterback coach in Green Bay, and he was, LaFleur was under McVay in Los Angeles, and one of the quarterbacks on that roster all those years ago was Sean Mannion. So he's been around him a long time, and you can tell he's a fan there. And now he's the new Eagles offensive coordinator. All right, one more, and this one's a fun little, kind of just everyone crosses paths in the NFL, right? It's a small world in the NFL. Nick Foles, when the Eagles traded Nick Foles, obviously in the trade for Sam Bradford, which was not a good idea, but they did it, right? And Nick Foles went to the then St. Louis Rams. You ready for this? The quarterback room in 2015 for the St. Louis Rams was Nick Foles, Case Keenum, who, of course, Nick Foles would beat in a title game back here 2 years later for the Eagles, and the third-string quarterback on that team in 2015, Hugh Douglas, was Sean Mannion.
Sean Mannion.
So Nick Foles, here's what he had to say about his former teammate, Sean Mannion.
Third-round pick, a rookie in St. Louis when you were with the Rams. So you have a little bit of history with him.
I do. He, very impressive rookie. One of the more impressive rookies I've ever been around. You could tell right away with his work ethic, his knowledge of football at that point. And honestly, he always, sort of, I don't know if he liked it when I said it, but it seemed like he had a photographic memory with his ability just to recall things. Either that or he just constantly was, studying, prepping, flashcards, whatever it may be. But you could tell he was really diligent and then, got into the coaching world the last couple of years. And you knew he'd always be a guy that would climb the ladder, but I feel like he's climbing it quicker than I thought. And with the Philadelphia Eagles, which we just did a podcast earlier today, talking about who they should go with. So a unique hire.
Studying, prepping, photographic memory, one of the most impressive rookies I've ever been around. I'll take Nick Foles' word for it. I like the hire. 215-592-9494. I like it. Hugh Douglas is skeptical. Where do you come down? Kyle, are you a Mannion Man?
Yeah, I'm a Mannion Man.
There we go.
I'm a Mannion Man, Joe. I'll walk with you.
We have Mannion Men here in the studio.
Yeah,
well,
I
have
a tendency to talk myself into things. Yeah. I've talked myself into this. All right, look, I guess I've talked myself into Mannion himself, like as a guy. Clearly, he's having a meteoric rise up the ranks in the NFL.
Like 33 years old.
This is like an unprecedented type of hire, and the Eagles have a tendency to do those kind of things. And you know what? They end up being right a lot of times with these things. Like these outside the box, like Nick Sirianni was on nobody's radar. Not sure he interviewed anywhere when we hired him.
Yep.
Went to 2 Super Bowls, won one. Andy Reid being an unknown quarterbacks coach out of Green Bay, by the way, with a history of developing quarterbacks. And Man, all you got to do is look at Malik Willis last season with the Packers.
Yeah, he looked really good when he played.
And like when he came out, he stunk. I mean, he was hot garbage, to use a Hugh Douglas term. But I just like the fact that he's younger, funny. He's fresher, he's worked under all these great, like brilliant offensive minds and stuff. I like the fact that he's going to bring new, fresh ideas and stuff. We'll see on how much different the offense looks, what kind of autonomy he has. But, like, just on the surface, I like Mannion himself. I like the idea of Sean Mannion.
I do, too. And I just can't ignore all the people that he's either coached under or coached for. It's like, if you make a list of the best minds in the NFL, he's been around all of them. And now he's here at the age of 33. It has been a meteoric rise. His story, Hugh, kind of reminds me, before we go to the phones here, in 215-592-9494, do you like the hiring of Sean Mannion, or are you like Hugh Douglas and you're skeptical here? Hugh, his story, backup quarterback that really never had a chance to play. Like, it wasn't like he was ever considered a future starter. He was just basically drafted kind of as a backup and did that for 8 years and then got into coaching. Kind of reminds me a little of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore was drafted, right? Kellen Moore was a Lion and then a Cowboy.
Yeah, smart dude.
Smart dude. No one, I think, ever looked at Kellen Moore as a player and said he could be a future starter. And then eventually, before, he played for a little while, but then made that quick transition to, I'm going to start coaching. And then pretty quickly, it's like Kellen Moore, I think Kellen Moore was around the same age when he became the Cowboys offensive coordinator.
There's something to backup quarterbacks in that they're not really in the NFL necessarily because of the raw talent.
Of course. Like
those guys, when they're getting prepared to step in, their best asset is their knowledge of the game.
Yeah.
So, like, I do like that part of it. And he's been a backup quarterback for a while. He's probably picked up a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I think Kellen Moore went from, still as a backup playing on a roster, and then a few years later, he was calling plays for the Cowboys. His story, his path, it kind of reminds me of that. And obviously, we know what Kellen Moore did here, what he's done in his career, now a head coach in the NFL. 215-592-9494. Where do you come down? All right, I'm going to make a list today. We're going to find out who's a day one Mannion Man. I'm going to have a full list by the end of the show of the Mannion Men in our audience. Kyle is one. I am one. Hugh Douglas, again, you're not a day one Mannion Man.
No.
I think it's just the term Mannion Man.
Yeah, I don't like
him
that.
off.
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with it?
It just sounds weird to me.
Mannion Man.
Yeah.
What, do you have something you want to try out instead?
Okay. No, I like him. I like his upside. I think he has a tremendous upside.
But you're skeptical.
Yeah, because I got to see it. I need to know his coaching style. This team, to me, and other people I've talked to, you need to crack the whip a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, being a younger cat, you kind of wonder if he's going to be able to do that.
Well, I agree with that. And one thing that came out last night, Hugh, that we can talk through, and I'm sure we'll talk through a lot the next few days and weeks and months, is it was reported by everyone that covers the team, coming from the Eagles last night, that he will call the plays. Because when the news first broke, I was listening to the afternoon show, and Ike and Spike were talking about, like, do we think he's actually going to call the plays because he's so young, because he's never done it? Does Sirianni call the plays? And then, Hugh, I would say within an hour, Sirianni and the Eagles were putting out, no, Sean Mannion's going to call the plays. I like that.